get into it.
Okay. Hey, everybody, welcome again to another edition of In the Moment. I am your host, Michael, and today we have DJ Dave Paul. I don't know what to say. I've actually been a fan of DJ Dave for quite some time. He's from the Bay Area, where I'm from, all day, rocking it all the time.
Yeah.
And so I want to get into a few things about music, about you, DJing, the climate and culture of hip hop right now, all those things. But why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. A little bit about myself. I started mobile DJing in high school in the mid 80s. That led to doing a college radio show on City College of San Francisco, which then led to doing a magazine, having a store, doing mail order, throwing shows, doing a record label, and then eventually back to DJing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You've done a
So
lot.
it just went full circle.
No, and I love it. And that's one of the things I love about you. I mean, and also just music in general, because right now, DJing, I think, is pretty profound. There's a lot of DJs out there. But for someone like yourself, you've been doing this for over 20 years. You've been doing this for quite some time, and you've been consistent, which I think is fantastic. Because a lot of people come and go, or like right now, the climate is a lot of celebrities. Oh, I'm a DJ, and they go to Greece or whatever, and they do a party, but no, they're not DJing. And I think
Yeah.
for you, it's an art form. And give some context. Being from the Bay Area, and again, I was born and raised. You're from the Bay, and the majority of a lot of your the stuff you got started off was in the Bay Area too. And that has been a culture, that has been a factor, and not only in hip hop, I just think in music, culturally, there's always been so much coming out of the Bay Area. And I think
And we had so many DJs in the Bay
Yes.
Area. Like
Mhm.
the Bay Area had, even back then, especially like in the 90s, the Bay Area was known for DJs. Just the DJ culture, everyone was a mobile DJ. Um, and then, you would get later on into the whole club culture and stuff like that.
Well, I've got to ask you because so one of the things I met you a few years ago, one of the things that you do the Prince Michael Jackson experience. And I went
Right.
to one of those events. There's someone in the Bay, Gigi. She's one of the purple funksters, the family, the whole thing. And
Right.
she invited me, and I loved it. This is great. And here's a set of just music of just pretty much the height of two iconic musicians in their music. So with that, I mean, I know that's one of the staples that you like to do, but also your other big thing is the '80s. I know
Right.
you're a big '80s guy. So can you just kind of walk us through, like, what was your correlation to say, hey, I want to only focus on these genres for the most part for the parties that you do?
Um, 80s, obviously, because I love 80s music. Just always have, always will. As far as the Prince and Michael, I just wanted to do an all Prince party. But out here in the Bay was Bay MPG, and they were kind of doing their own Prince parties. And I was like, well, I don't really want to step on their feet. And and Jeff Harris, he always kept saying, oh, why don't you do Prince and Michael Jackson? I was like, nah, like Michael Jackson ain't really my thing. I'm all about Prince. And then eventually when we did the first party, I brought all my Prince records. He brought all his Michael Jackson records, and that's how it started.
Yeah. Well, I,
Uh,
I I love it. And I think, there's both of those artists have so much music. I think Prince has got way more than Michael. But for you to curate it, and I know because I've gone to a couple of your shows, it's always different. So it's not like, oh my God, here's the same thing every type of show. There's a way to mix it up. And I believe in doing my research on you, you like to mix it up. And again, like this, it's on the fly, it's in the moment. So you don't walk into a situation, okay, I got to play, let's go crazy. I got to go to do Raspberry Beret. It's just like whatever the crowd's feeling.
yeah, and also what you're feeling at the moment as what you want to project to the audience. And I do pay attention to try to be like, because there's a lot of songs that like, oh, this goes perfect with this, and this will mix perfect with that, and you have to be very careful to not get caught playing the same sets.
Right.
And I don't mean caught by anybody, but I do pay attention to, like, if I see a bunch of certain people that like, oh, they were here last month, I don't want them to hear me mixing the same song after the same song after the same song. Like, let me think of something else. Let me figure out a different way to get out of this song and get into something else. And also songs, crowds' reactions to songs change over the years. Sometimes Erotic City will be hot for a year or two, and then it won't be, and then it'll come back. And the same with like a Let's Go Crazy, or I mean, you can never lose with Kiss. I mean, you're gonna play that no matter what at every Prince party. That's just the standard.
Yeah, the classics, and it actually gets just people going because they hear that da, 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 Kiss, and it just gets everyone up to dance.
Yeah.
It's those crowd starters. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Same thing with
Women love that song, and in the end, it's all about having women at your party.
Yeah, yeah, because I think, as we all know, that's that's who you want to dance with. I mean, again, I think it's very eclectic, very inclusive, but that's what gets everyone going. Because sometimes I don't know. Years ago, it used to be a thing where guys, well, I'm not going to go out and whatever. Now people are just showing out in all forms,
Right.
and I think it's nice too that people can sometimes just dance on their own and not even have a partner.
Right.
You know?
Yep. It's because back in the day, like, you couldn't go on the dance floor unless you had someone to dance with, and now it's just people just having fun and doing their own thing.
I went to some event and it was one of these weird things where you put out everybody had their own headphones and danced to whatever they wanted to listen, and that was interactive and that was different, but everyone had their own vibe and it was just so mesmerizing.
And it's cool because usually they'll have 2 or 3 channels with 2 or 3 different DJs, and the headphones are like blue, red, yellow. You tap it and you can switch to a different channel. So it's kind of funny to see one group of people dancing to one song and then another group dance, and it's like so completely different. The dancing style.
Yeah,
or whatever song it is.
Yeah, it seems chaotic, but then it's also rhythmic, and it also it's artistic. It all blends together.
Yeah.
So let me ask you right now, kind of the so I know that you DJ a lot, and again, you're like a headliner because I get these flyers like once a month, and or like you're all these dates that you're always performing at or being for engagements. How big is that? Is it just you? Do you have an entourage? Are you taking a ton of stuff with you? Is it pretty much mobile laptop bag and you're good to go set up?
It's just me. And I book, and I'm the promoter and producer, mainly because back in the day promoters wouldn't book me. So I had to become my own booker, promoter, make the art, everything else. Traveling wise, it's a laptop, a controller, and whatever else you might need.
Wow. And so when you book a place, do they cover your airfare? Is that all included in the price, or is that something separate? Because I don't know how that works.
Usually most places don't do a flat rate. You got to be like a big time DJ to get that, or some DJs do flat rate, but they're getting paid $300.
Right.
So it's usually a percentage deal because I'm the promoter, and everything comes out of that. So if the place is packed, I make money. If the place is empty, I lose money.
Wow.
So you can make a few thousand, you can lose 1,000.
Wow. And then for your tours that you do, I mean, do you know in advance? Okay, I want to hit these cities. Like these cities are good for me. Do you have an idea? Like, oh, yeah, that doesn't work for me, or like it's no point in going to the South. You're not going to listen to music, or I don't want to label that. But do you feel here's my hot zones, and this is the best time to go? Here's the peak time. Do you already have a plan?
No, for me, it's just a matter of finding finding like people are like, oh, how come you don't play my city? And I'm like, yo, I just need a venue.
Right.
And not only do I need a venue that's going to give me a fair deal.
Right.
So I'll play almost any city, but it's getting getting a decent deal. Like you have to email like 50 venues to maybe get one or two to get back to you.
Oh.
And then even when they get back to you, I've had some venues once they thought I just wanted to come in and do it for free. And then once it came to talk about the percentage of the
Right.
door or ticket sales, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
the email stopped.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just like, yeah, okay, well, that wasn't going to work out
Yeah.
regardless.
Well, it seems that you have some residency. I mean, at least in the Bay, I know Madrone is where I've seen you a couple of times. That's
Right. Yeah.
really
Madrone and down in LA at Resident.
cool.
Um, so those are like regular spots. A lot of other spots, you know, they didn't make it through the pandemic.
Right.
Um, and some spots that did make it through the pandemic have changed what they book. Not to and also there's a huge influx of theme parties post pandemic
Right.
than it was. I mean, even if you think about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, wasn't many people doing theme parties. It was just DJ parties.
Right. Right.
But now everyone finally caught up to like, oh, throw a theme party.
Right. Well, I mean, you talk about the pandemic, and I would say that one of the moments out of that was the DJ Nice. You know, Dina, he was doing that live. I don't know, was
Right.
it Twitch or one of those? And that
Yeah,
was
and
the thing,
Instagram. I think it was on
yeah,
Instagram.
Instagram, and
Yeah.
that was a thing where because we were all stuck, and then as a joke, I kind of DJ'd one night, and people kept saying, "Hey," and I started doing, and it was fun. But then what happened was Facebook and those guys started cracking down, and you couldn't play the music. And okay, we're locked up in a pandemic. Now you're telling us we can't play our music.
Right.
So for you, because I know you went to, is it Twitch? Twitch is
Yeah, Twitch.
right. So that was something that seemed to spark a lot of people then going and creating their own channels. And yours is very successful. Like I said, I listened to your music, to your SoundCloud, and to your Twitch. So how does that work? Can you just give the viewers how that works and how people find you? And is that still something that you are still doing?
Twitch Twitch is owned by Amazon, and it's basically mainly like a gaming platform. Like you can go on there and watch people play their video games. Um and what happened was when the pandemic hit, a lot of DJs figured out, oh, I can go on there and DJ. The only trick is you can't show nudity. Um and don't save the sets for people to replay because that's a different type of publishing
Hmm.
that Twitch doesn't have. So then you would catch a strike. So the main thing is you just don't save your shows. You just go live, you do your show, and you don't leave it on there for video on demand.
Right.
Um it was really cool.
Mhm.
But once people went back to work, that because you can only get so many people to go to Twitch, like
Right.
because a lot of people they're used to what they're used to, so they like their Spotify, Pandora, watching videos on YouTube, whatever. So to get people to go from Facebook or Instagram and be like, "Hey, come join me on Twitch," was like pulling teeth. And
Yeah.
really, like most of the people that are left on Twitch are still the same people. Like I know I can go into any one of these 80s shows that's on Twitch when it's live and I already know who's going to be in there. I
Right.
already know like 20, 30 people that are going to be in there because they're the same people that are they're listeners and they listen to all the 80s shows on Twitch.
Yeah, I find it kind of hard myself. I think the thing on Instagram or Facebook is just easy because people just go there real quick, and again, until we started getting shut down. Um, but I think that's what makes it even better for you, the live experience. And it is nice that we're back at places and live, and seeing the photographs and everything on your website. It's great. People are just dancing, having a good time. And like you said, the theme is really hot right now. It could be 80s night, it could be Power Women's night, it could be funky soul, whatever it is.
Right.
I think that's and there's so many eclectic people and events happening. I do feel it's actually very cool. Um, I'm a big music guy like you. And I'm looking at I'm mesmerized by your collection. And like seriously, and so it's funny, you've got Heat, which is one of my favorite movies, and I'm actually reading the book right now.
Hey.
So it's just funny that caught my eye. But
Right.
I love it. So how many vinyl do you have? Because I'm a big collector and I don't know how much
Um,
you.
I don't know. I mean, a lot. I mean, there's what's in my office. There's
Oh
what's
God.
downstairs on the first floor. There's what's in the garage. There's what's in a storage unit.
Okay, you got a
Um,
lot. Yeah.
it's a lot, and it's funny. Like I don't. It's so funny because now when you DJ, everything's in your laptop, so you're DJing with WAV files or MP3 files,
Mhm.
and I always laugh. I'm like, oh, like the records get to stay home,
Right, right.
you know, which is fine because some records, if I remember one time I was playing I think it was a Little Red Corvette 12 inch, and some girl smashed into the
Oh,
DJ console, and it scratched the record. And to
right.
replace it ended up costing me $50, and I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of happy that I get to like leave my records at home.
No, that's good, and it's nice. I'm a big vinyl collector. I probably have about 300 or so, and I'm on location in Portland. And every weekend, I've been going buying vinyl, and I actually have to get an extra suitcase. I have so much I got to take. So my girlfriend's like, "You probably have another 30 at home that you haven't opened." Like, let's let's stop on the vinyl. But I'm like, and I love your setup, and I know that's probably just a minimal one, but it's great. So, how do you practice? Do you like what's your mindset for a show? Like you constantly like curating and finding stuff. There's so many underground artists that come out in new beats and new things. So are you constantly finding new things and curating, or just really sticking to? Because one of the things I like about your '80s show, it's not only just the hits. You actually play some of the obscure '80s tracks
Right.
that forget about. Like, oh my gosh, okay, and that's a nice blend. You know
And
what I
there's
mean?
so much music from the '80s that I'm always discovering a new '80s song. So
Right.
like I could be out somewhere, or I'm watching someone's show on Twitch, or checking websites that have different downloads, and I'll be like, "Whoa, I never heard this before."
Right.
And then I'll be like, "Okay, well, let me go download it because maybe I'll fit it in somewhere."
No, I think it's great. And it's nice.
Twitch was good for practice.
Okay, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't really practice anymore. I might like prep songs or be like, okay, here's where the cue point is, but I don't sit there and at home and play for 2, 3 hours. But when I
Right.
was on Twitch, or anytime I'm on Twitch, then that's 2, 3 hours where to me that's practice.
Okay.
Um, but also being on Twitch is very free as far as what you're playing because you're not worried about the dance floor.
Right.
So there's a lot of songs that you can play that you darn well know you can't play in the club. Like
Right. Right.
it's just not going to work. It's just not going to hit.
Hmm.
Um, Sort of like when people come up at an '80s party and they request certain songs that were radio hits, but you're like, yo, no one's going to dance to that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. 99 Loft Balloons is maybe good on the radio. I don't know if it's a good dance track or something.
Actually, that one pops off.
Oh, it does? You ever
Yeah,
make that work?
yeah,
Okay.
that one always pops off.
I do, man. I grew up on the '80s. And, some of the stuff I love on your channel are the visuals that you have in the background. Is
Right.
that something you kind of curated, or is it just
Some stuff I made, some stuff I bought from this guy out in Europe,
hmm
and I'm always looking for like different footage and yeah.
No, that's what's fun, and it's one of those things you can just put on in the background. Um, and this, I'm telling you, this is what I love about the curation that you do, and you as a DJ, and just music in general. I listen to music probably more than anything, and just always have it on, always playing. I might be in a jazz phase, I might be in a hip hop phase, but '80s are always great because it's just so classic, and that's how I grew up. I'm
Right.
the '80s kid, and I was that MTV generation, and it's so nice, like I said. to hear what you've selected, like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that, or that group or that artist. And it's so funny then how now they're kind of, this resurgence, especially that one, the Kate Bush one with Stranger Things. I thought
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was great for her. I mean, that.
Sure.
Um, so I want to go back to real quick the beginning, because you had a magazine, and also you had started this thing called Return of the DJ. And Return of the DJ, if I'm correct, you were the first person to create a compilation of DJs on one CD. At the time, it was a CD. I think
Well, it
Lee
was
might
CD and
have.
vinyl.
Right. Oh, so it was on vinyl. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was on double vinyl.
Okay. And what's funny, before this, I was going through my music selection, and I have all six um, albums of Return of the DJ. And
Sweet.
I'm like, and I didn't know that was you, like that you were behind the start of that.
Right,
I said,
right.
that sounds familiar. And I looked, I'm like, oh, I got all of these. That's great. Walk us through that, because that was something kind of at the time unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, I always liked scratching.
Mhm.
Um, and at a point, there was always that one song on a DJ album that would be like, I mean, on a rap album, that would be the full DJ cut. So it'd be like a Jazzy Jeff or Cash Money, Mr. Mix. Um, and a lot of artists stopped doing that. I don't know if it was because of samples.
Mm.
And then a lot of artists stopped taking DJ on tour because they would just slap in a DAT tape.
Right,
And why give a DJ half the money when you can play a DAT tape and keep all the money?
right, right.
Um, so I wanted to do like a all DJ, all scratching album,
Mhm.
and I just started hitting up DJs, and that's how it came about.
No, I love it. And I remember I was a big fan of DJ or Dan the Automator. And I know that's someone that you worked with. I
Yeah.
think I was like probably 18 or 19 in the Bay Area, and I used to go to all the raves and all this stuff. And so many memories.
Oh man, I'm telling you, there needs to be a whole documentary on just like Bay Area, like 77 to 97, like those 20 years, you know?
Yeah, oh my gosh, it was crazy. There's so many iconic and it's just sad that a lot of places have closed down. I mean, listen, we're a lot older, so they can't last forever. But like, oh my gosh,
Except for City Nights. City Nights is still there.
that's still there. That's one of my hot spots back in the day.
Oh my god.
But I love it. I like I said, I love music. I've recently connected with DJ Hurricane from the Beastie Boys. Uh,
Right.
we've been having some Zooms. He's got a project we've been talking about, and I just love talking to artists and musicians. And again, so right now with our current climate of music, what are some of the things that you listen to? Like, what's on your playlist right now?
As far as new music,
Yeah, I mean, just for you, like, what do you like? Hey, I'm really feeling this because there's so much getting pumped out at the moment.
I
What?
don't listen to I don't listen to new music.
Wow. Okay.
I don't listen to the radio.
Mhm.
Um and whenever someone tells me about something that's new, I go check it on YouTube and I'm like, yeah, that's not for me.
Not for you. Okay.
Um and not to say that there's not good stuff out there, but I'm happy listening to what I'm listening to.
Right. And I think I
And
think
I can always find new old tracks that I've never heard that
Mhm.
I'll be into.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't pay attention.
No, that's fine. I mean, there's so much. Again, I get overwhelmed. I go on Apple Music or whatever. I can't keep up, and I really can. And again, I think I have my staples. I love my old school hip hop. A lot of the stuff that comes out now, I feel whatever. I mean, back in the day, you actually learned something. It actually had a vibe. You had, Tribe and De La Soul and Public Enemy. I'm just thinking these are things that matter to me. Nowadays, I'm like, who's who?
Right.
And it's just sort of like, again, you got your staples like Too Short, our Bay Area peeps. But,
Right.
some of this stuff, I'm like, huh? What? And I do. And I go back to the old stuff. I'm like, because I grew up uh, a single mom in the 70s. So I've been buying a lot of vinyl from the 70s that I listened growing up, like Stevie Wonder, Tower Power, just stuff like that, iconic Earth, Wind, and Fire. Finding those nuggets, like, oh, that's great.
Right.
And I didn't know at the time, and again, you and I, because like I grew up on KMEL and KSOL. Those were the radio
Right.
stations to me.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
like we grew up on Cameron Paul and Michael Erickson,
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
whatever they were playing. Um,
Yeah. And
yeah.
those were the jams, and I know you did like a set for K Mail, and that's how that was one of the things you kind of got you started, right? They gave you an opportunity, or
Yeah, they were like send in your mix. I
mm,
sent in I made a 4-track reel to reel mix.
right?
And this is right after they had whatever problem they had with Cameron Paul, and Cameron Paul left or
Yeah.
whatever happened. So when they did play my mix on KMEL, they wouldn't say my last name. So it was just DJ Dave.
Oh, that's
And I
lame.
was all like, yo, I'm not related to him. Like, what's the problem? But
Yeah,
they were like, nope.
that's lame.
Yeah, so lame.
Uh,
But it got played and
okay.
was what it was.
Well, that's good. Well, I've always got love for KMEL because I won tickets opening night to Purple Rain at the Cow Palace. One of my big wins
Mm.
in my life.
You see, they're doing events again at the Cow Palace.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're doing like raves and like
Oh gosh.
some crazy stuff over there. And I honestly didn't even know Cow Palace was still around,
Me
Because I
neither.
mean, I remember for years it was just like gun shows, boat shows,
Yeah,
maybe car shows. I don't know.
it was always those one-offs. I mean, until you
Yeah.
mentioned it, I didn't even know it was still around either. I thought it was totally
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
else.
It's still around, and they've been doing quite a few events over there,
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
right?
That's crazy. So right now you've got a full slate. I know you got some shows coming up. I want to say, I think next on the 17th you have something. How
Yeah,
often are you doing shows?
17th it'll be Hermosa Beach, and the 18th is downtown LA.
Okay,
So I'll be down there for the weekend.
right. So what do you do for yourself when you say, "Hey, you know what? What does Dave like to do without the music?" I mean, is there something else that motivates you or makes you happy, or what's in it for you? What do you like?
As far as
Well, I mean, is there anything that's like, hey, like I like reading a book, or it's not always about DJing. It's sort of like, do you like to paint? What are some other things that interest you?
it's usually based around music one way or another.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's good.
Like I know if I'm up working and I realize, oh whoa, it's 10 o'clock now and I haven't put on any music yet, I'll be like, that's what was wrong with my day.
Wow.
That's what was wrong with that morning. Like it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's always music. But I like creating the artwork and making some of the promo videos. It's cool because then you're learning like how to be a video editor, and you're
Right.
learning how to use Photoshop. And
No, I think that's fantastic. And I mean, even with the now I never really saw the magazine that you had. It was the Bomb magazine, which was
right.
I don't think you still have it anymore, correct? That
No,
stopped.
I stopped in 96.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did you create all the covers yourself? Did you
No,
draw?
no, I didn't draw any of those. Those are I would just hook up with different
Mhm.
illustrators, graffiti artists,
Right.
and tell them, yeah, just draw it. Try to draw it 7 inches by 7 inches,
Amazing.
black and white line art.
Well, 'cause I was reading about David started this magazine, and it was kind of I don't want to just label it as only hip hop, but you're doing reviews of music at the time, and this was old school, where you were like typing it and printing it and like photocopying it and then putting it together.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, the first one I did was on an old typewriter, and then I would shrink down the text and cut it and use a glue stick to make the paragraphs line up on a sheet of paper. Um,
I love that.
you know, I was you work with what you have until you
Yeah.
have something better, and then you learn that and work with that. And
Mm.
I do miss PageMaker. PageMaker was the bomb.
Well, that's cool. That's great. And then, do you have anything? And there's so many things that I've seen. Like recently, there was a pop up Beastie Boys exhibit in Los Angeles I went to, and that was kind of cool. And I know there was
Right.
a pop up hip hop one recently, and I know that there's one in New York because I saw. Oh, I want to say it was Pete Nice, who was from Third Base, and he was talking about it because it was a Bismarcky documentary I watched, and that was kind of cool. Do you have
Right.
any of your stuff curated? in any of these, hip hop scenarios? Because again, what you've done, you established something that was new and that was different, and it was also iconic and important at the time. Again, because like the Source and Double XL and you, I mean, there was only a few at the time actually talking about hip hop and music, especially in the Bay.
Yeah, but there were other local zine. I mean, there was like the Flavor in Seattle and One Nut Network, Straight from the Lip, out of San Diego. There was probably like a dozen independent magazines. There was like the Source, and then Rap Pages and Vibe, and then there was like a dozen of us like on the underground
Right,
tip.
right. Okay, that's good. I love that, man. I'm so excited that you're able to be a part of the show. I really do appreciate it because I know you are busy. I see it. You're always doing something.
Uh,
I'm gonna try to because I don't live in the Bay anymore. I live out of state, and
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
there's really nothing going on in New Mexico. So,
No.
and I come up once a month to Oakland to visit my mom, and then attend a Warriors game. So I've got to try to like gauge it now to one of the shows.
Yeah, for sure.
I do. I have so much fun. Like I said, I just love dancing and the vibe, and it's great. And I don't know. Do you still have? There's the doll of you that Troy made,
Yeah, I have that in a glass case.
but you don't bring him to every show, right?
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
I think it was maybe the one time. It would get destroyed.
Oh yeah, like no, it's up on my record shelf where it will stay. And I
No, I
keep
love.
meaning to make like little stop motion movies with it, and
Yeah.
um, but I'd have to learn how to do that and
Well,
take the time to do it.
yeah, the more creativity. I love that.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to say? I mean, any notes of advice? And here's another thing. Again, is it something that you feel like, hey, would Dave do a master class and like, hey, here's the techniques, here's how to do that? Is that something that people have brought up to
A few people have brought that up to me that I should do that. Like, how do you throw your own party, or how do you market and promote, or how do you whatever, being with DJing or marketing or the promotion, and maybe that's something that I will do at some point.
I think it'd be fantastic. I mean, I'm a novice, like I said. I'm no way even near your skill set. I have the little thing. I play around at home. Great. It's fun. I've done a couple of friends things at the house. It's great.
Right.
Again, you're a staple. You're someone who's well known and established. So I would definitely pay money to learn. Like, wow, I've learned certain techniques. It's just putting the beats per minute, nice mix, or this and that. Like I don't know how I can scratch it just fun, but not how to blend it properly. So I
Right.
think that would be fantastic. I would definitely sign up for that from you.
All right. I will
I'll be your
remember that.
first one. Absolutely.
I know, right?
I would totally pay for a one-on-one, man. Let me know.
Uh,
That maybe I'll tell my girlfriend that's my birthday gift. That's
there you go.
there you go. There you go. Um, well,
She's
thank you
like,
so
but
much.
wait, last month you said it was your birthday too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
When you bought all those records.
That is
Yeah.
true.
Well,
Do you know I get that a lot. And literally she and her friends have said, Michael, you got to put a moratorium on the vinyl. I'm like, no, but I keep finding it. I keep finding these nuggets.
it's well, I would say it's an addiction, but it's almost more like it's discovery.
Yeah.
Even if you know about it, but you come in across that record in a store,
Hmm.
and you're like, oh man, I gotta get this.
Yeah. And it's so weird because it's just, for me, it's random. So the other day I was at some little breakfast place here in Portland, and they were playing vinyl, and they put on some Afro-Cuban jazz by this guy Manchito, and I just loved it. And so I went to the record store and I found a copy. It was just something different, and in that moment I was feeling that, because I like again I'm very eclectic. I might find Mister Mister. I might find a Cyndi Lauper. Then I found like the B sides of Simply Red, which is like I didn't even know there was the B side to the album, which was great. And
Right.
then I go to, and then I'm go, I find my hip hop and whatever I'm into at the moment. So I'm like, oh, I got to get it. And here's something too. I found the store, and they have only DJ stuff. So and I found all these Prince 12 inches from Europe of singles, and I actually got to post it and let people know. I don't need to buy all those. I have enough Prince stuff. But I get it. It was pretty much just the 12 inches that the DJs used. It's a whole different store I found here in Portland. I'm like, oh my, you know. So I'll send you the link.
Cool.
I'll post it. So if anybody from the Bay needs it, I can tell them.
I know, right?
I'll buy it and send it to everybody.
I know. I've thought about like, oh, maybe I should sell like all my imports and my picture, like all my Prince imports and picture discs. I'm like, what do I need them for? I got the regular 12-inch because I used to collect all that stuff back in the day: the posters, the magazines, buttons.
Yeah.
You know, then you had to have this one from Spain, and this one came out in Australia, and it's all still the same song.
Yeah, I know. And that's one of the things that I've pared down in that regard. I'm still buying the Prince box sets from the state whenever they come out.
Yeah.
And that's great. But like, okay, I've got all the hits. I'm tired of that. Give me the good stuff. I want the stuff that's in that ball. Give the real fans some new music. Now, I'm lucky enough that I have a lot of music that's not even out there, which is pretty good, which I listen to. I wish they would release that so we can have a clear.
Yeah. And plus, like a lot of the concerts, because he used to videotape every concert.
Yeah.
So
that's what we want, because we've all been there.
That's what we want. I'm not quite sure. Here's the thing. That's what the diehards want. So they should probably release that pretty soon, because we're all getting older. Yeah, we're not going to be around maybe 20, 30 years from now. And it's going to be too late, because then if you release it, casual fans don't care.
Right. And that's the thing, because, for you, I don't know, how many times have you seen Prince?
7 or 8.
Okay. I was at 33. I've been to some iconic shows, and those are the ones that I want to see.
Right.
And I've been in those nights where he's had like 5 encores and it's crazy, or just he has surprise guests. I'm like, oh my God, I was there. I would love to see that, because I do know he records everything. Now, there's a gentleman from the Bay Area, and I've never met this gentleman. And somehow I was trying to
I already know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Talking about Mike?
No, he gave me a hard drive. Is he the one that has the Prince house that he rents out as an Airbnb?
Oh.
Gotta look it up.
Mike?
No. Does he have a big collection?
He's got a huge collection.
I have to look at the name. I was looking at something. I forgot what it was. And this guy, and he goes, send me your address. And to this day, he sent me a hard drive of 979 recordings. Every concert, every rehearsal, it's amazing. It's actually in my safe, and I take it and I actually, from that, I've actually given some music to the actual Revolution, to the band, that they don't have.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is some shit I've never heard. And it's incredible. I'm like, what? And it's all cataloged and organized. So maybe it is Mike. I have to look.
Yeah. You'll have to let me know.
I will, because there's some of us that we've been fans from day one. Look, I got the tattoo, it's
right.
Like, that's why I also enjoy about your shows. Like, how to curate the right stuff. And not a good thing. So I love that. You keep it going, the music, the momentum, and the vibe,
Right.
I love it. So what are your plans for today? Today's Saturday, May 11th. What do you got going on?
I actually gotta do some promo and marketing for next weekend, and I gotta work on some art for other gigs, and it never ends.
All right. Well, if I'm correct, now you're starting a podcast too, right?
Yeah, it'll probably. Well, I'm gonna start it like after the 18th.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
love it. Well, this is still new to me. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I just like interviewing and talking to people that are the best in their fields, and just getting it out there. And I want other people to know the people that I like and admire. Right. So I really appreciate your time. Have a great weekend. Thank you for everything. And once this comes out, I'll let you know. I'll put all your links, your blast, all your stuff that you want to promote.
Cool.
It's all out there. So keep doing you. You're awesome. And
awesome. You keep doing you.
Thank
you for having me.
All right, man. Have a good weekend, okay?
All right, you too. Cheers.
Okay, buddy. Bye-bye.